Hi, and welcome to this week's Poke Report. I'm Jordan Bridges. This week we're going to be looking at the Cowgirl soccer team and the Cowboy football team. We'll also be profiling key positions that are key to each team's success. This past Thursday, Oklahoma State played Texas Tech right here in Boone Pickens Stadium. Our own Jasmine Adams was here for the report.
With Oklahoma State ranked number 24 in the first Big 12 matchup, it only seems right playing Texas Tech on a Thursday night. Therefore, what started as a school day for most students turned quickly into game day. As the band marches down Hester, the crowd begins making their way to the stadium. Texas Tech slowly took advantage with Webb Davis to Davis Renegal for 21 yards to the end zone, with Ryan Buston with the extra point. In the next possession, Dax Garman threw his first interception, which was caught by J.J. Gaines of Texas Tech, making OSU nerves run even higher. But Garman finally settles in with throwing a 33-yard touchdown, and Ben Grogan seals the deal with the extra point. Starting the second quarter, offense could not complete any passes, and the defense could not stop Texas Tech from coming down the field. However, the Cowboys did not give up. They came back with rolling in the end zone, tying the game right back up. With the penalties popping up everywhere during Texas Tech possessions, it was finally nice to see OSU back in the end zone, yet again with James Washington. Coming back from halftime, the game became a who could outscore the other team, until speedy Tyreek Hill caught an over-the-shoulder catch coming straight into the end zone, changing the momentum of the game and the crowd. In the fourth quarter, Garman also made his way into the end zone.
Yeah, I keep telling him to slide because we can't afford to lose him this year, but he's not going to listen. He's going to do his thing, but he got in the end zone today, and we're always proud of him. So.
Although Texas Tech continued to score, the defense still played hard with many inexperience on the field.
So I thought overall the defense played pretty good. We had a couple guys get nicked up a little bit, so we were playing with a lot of freshmen out there. One time I counted 5 true freshmen.
With the ending score 45-35, the struggles of this game came with experience for the freshmen. In the end, OSU continues to learn and grow as a team throughout the season. For the Poke Report, this is Jasmine Adams.
Thanks, Jasmine. And with that win, the Cowboys are now 3-1 on the season. Oklahoma State has not lost to Texas Tech at home since 2001. A reason for that is OSU's defense, but that's not always been the case here in Stillwater. Courtney Brown has a story about how one man has changed all that.
Everyone has a calling of what he or she likes to do. For Oklahoma State Glenn Spencer, it has been the love for defense and football. Spencer joined the Cowboy family in 2008 and is helping the OSU defensive team improve each year.
We've got to convince these guys that the past is irrelevant, except for a learning process based on mistakes. So it's just a week-by-week process.
He started his journey by coaching the defensive line. With a couple of years of hard work, he was promoted to defensive coordinator in 2013. In Spencer's first year in his new position, the Cowboys limited opponents to 20 points per game, down from 28.2 points per game from the year before. Senior defensive tackle James Castleman says coach is good to go as long as they communicate with each other, stay on the same page, and play as a team.
You got to play for everybody next to you, so I understand that you got to play as one. You can't play as 11 on the field. You got to play as one, and when you play as one, you tend to win more games.
Castleman says coach is using the word attack daily to keep the defensive line intense. No matter what opponent the Cowboys are playing, do not be afraid to attack them. Coach says he is sure the players think he hates their guts, but they know when they get those rewards, it's all worth it.
It's fun. I mean, Coach Spencer, he'll get in your butt sometimes, but at the same time, he's always sitting there trying to push you, make you a better player, and he tries to make you a better person not only on the field but off the field as well.
Football is not an easy sport. It is demanding physically and mentally. The Cowboys have long practices, are struggling to get plays right, and get defeated by other teams. But when these players execute the game and execute the struggle, that is what brings joy to Spencer and is one of his favorite moments as a coach.
And those are the most rewarding things for me. Just to know that I'm a part of that, are you serious, that I could be a part of a young man experiencing something like that? That's the blessing for me, what I do.
For the Poke Report, I'm Courtney Brown.
Thanks, Courtney. It appears that Coach Spencer is definitely the man for the job, especially considering the injuries he had Thursday night against Texas Tech. Now, when we come back, we'll be profiling the Cowgirls soccer tournament that they had last week here in Stillwater. Welcome back to the Poke Report. I'm Jordan Bridges. I'm here with Ocala senior sports writer Tim Aarons. The Cowboys had a 10-point victory last night against Texas Tech. What are your overall thoughts on that game?
Well, I think the thing about this game is, it was a really good shootout. Tech came in and really tested OSU's defense, but even when things seemed like they were going to possibly start going wrong for the Cowboys, they turned it around. They got some key turnovers, and then the passing attack took over from there.
Now, this Cowboy defense turned their first sign of weakness against Tech's high-tempo offense. Should we be as high on this group as we were coming into this game?
Well, I think everyone knew coming into this game that the secondary was the weakest part of the defense, and against an air raid attack like Texas Tech's, that's going to be something that's going to be exposed. It didn't help that Ashton Lampkin got hurt, and he had to put in the freshman cornerback in Ramon Richards. But overall, I think the biggest thing was the lack of tackling.
I agree.
Part of that could be because the defense was tired. The offense scored. There was one scoring drive over 1 minute, and whenever the defense is on the field that long, you're going to get worn down. You're going to start making some mental mistakes. So I don't think possibly don't be as high on them as we were before, but they're still, I think, a very good unit with Glenn Spencer coaching them.
I'm glad you said that because Gundy has talked about a lot how he wants to get some of the backups in so that come the meat and bones of Big 12 play, his starters won't be worn out. Do you think it took a step forward in that or a step back in trying to get his backups some experience?
I think they took a step forward. This is a very young team. It's returning so little from last season, and at some point these young guys are going to have to play, and it's probably better that it's this year than next year or even 2 years down the road. It's just something that's going to have to happen, and it's something you want to knock out quick so that experience starts to build.
Now, QB Dax Garman accounted for 5 touchdowns last night, 4 in the air and 1 running, but he also had 2 picks. How would you evaluate his performance last night?
I would credit the picks. Part of it was the offensive line was really shaky. Garman was on the ground a lot, and because of that, he was a little shaky in the pocket. He didn't seem really confident in time, so he was throwing some passes, a few errant passes. Other than that, the deep ball was great again last night. He's not throwing as many intermediate passes, but I think overall he's continuing to improve. It's only his 3rd game in college, and I think he's just going to continue to get better as the season goes on.
Now, the Cowboys have an early start this week against Iowa State. What's some things they can improve on to become out victorious in that game?
Well, the offensive line really needs some work. It's Bob Connolly's first year as coach, and there's 4 upperclassmen on this offensive line unit, 3 new starters on the offensive line this season. But against a team like Texas Tech, they really needed to take advantage of a weak rushing defense. And Kansas and Iowa State, Kansas after Iowa State, they all have the same problem being bad against the run. So this is something that the offensive line really needs to work to get going. Also, seeing Tyreek Hill in the slot last night was a very big thing for OSU. That might be the best way to use him at this point.
I was thinking myself, the best way to utilize Tyreek Hill would be to get him in some one-on-one coverage in the slot and just let him run.
Yeah, and he's not. This rushing attack is not for him. This rushing attack's meant more for Desmond Rowland pounding up the middle. Rennie Child's doing a little bit of that himself. Tyreek's the guy that you're going to want to use his speed. So if that means you put him in the slot and you run a post with him, most of the time, that's something you can definitely use.
Now let's switch gears to Cowgirls soccer. What are some of the things you thought about last week's tournament for the Cowgirls?
I think Oklahoma State played really well against Memphis and Tulsa. This is a team that came into the season with high hopes, but injuries have plagued them a lot, and that really showed going at the beginning when they lost 6 straight. Since they've started to get some of those players back, they've had a lot better communication and a lot better chemistry, and it started to show on the field. So it's happening at the right time now that they've entered conference play.
Okay. Now, Allie Stevenson is the leading goal scorer for the Cowgirls. What do you think she brings in terms of leadership and her skills to the Cowgirls soccer team?
Stevenson's a really fast player. She's been that way since her freshman season. She was a bit of a phenomenon then. Over the years, she's improved in finishing at goals too. So this season, with all the injuries that were happening, and when forward Courtney DK was in Canada playing for the U20 Nigerian team, Stevenson was one of the players who was doing a really good job of leading the team and keeping them in it. So she'll probably continue to do that going forward.
Okay. Now, everybody knows that if you don't get scored on, you can't lose. So goalkeeper Rosa Medina is a big part to this Cowgirl soccer team. So what do you think she brings?
Medina's been through a little bit of adversity herself. She had the starting job last year as a junior, and she ended up losing it to Mikel Ongaro Ongaro went down with an ACL tear in practice this season before play even began. So Medina came back in the goal, and she's been really impressive. She had a great game against Florida State at home, and she's been a very big leader on this team. The defense has been shaky at times, and because of that, she's had make a lot of great plays, and by doing so, she's really showed her leadership capabilities and her maturity.
Thank you for joining us, Tim. And as we mentioned, this past week, the Cowgirl soccer team hosted the Holiday Inn & Suites OSU Invitational with Texas Tech, Tulsa, and Memphis. Our own Jacob Watkins has the story.
Oklahoma State Cowgirl soccer team took on the Memphis Tigers Friday night in the second game of the Stillwater Inn & Suites OSU Invitational. The Cowgirls didn't waste any time getting on the scoreboard when Courtney DK scored her first goal of the year in the second minute of the game to put the Cowgirls up 1-0. That would be all the Cowgirls needed offensively on the night. The Cowgirls' defense took care of the rest of the things, allowing only 7 shots. Rosa Medina did her part in stopping the Tigers with 4 saves on the night to help the Cowgirls pull out a 1-0 win against the Tigers. In the second matchup of the tournament, the Cowgirls didn't get the same start against the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. Christina Holmes found the back of the net in the 34th minute off a corner kick to put Tulsa up 1-0. The Cowgirls struggled offensively in the first half, with both teams playing physical defense. The momentum shifted when Lana Bermel was given a red card. Off the red card, Allie Stevenson converted on a free kick from just outside the box to tie the game at 1. Anna Beffer, who missed the last 6 games due to injury, put the Cowgirls on top in the 82nd minute with a left-footed kick from outside the box. Tulsa almost tied things up in the 89th minute when Alexa Sidorkas' shot hit off the corner of the goalpost. OSU coach Colin Carmichael says he was pleased with the way the Cowgirls played against the Golden Hurricane defense.
I mean, they're a bigger, stronger team, and we watched them on tape, and we knew, again, not anything dirty, but just a big, strong team, and they're a handful. And we knew that would be one of our issues. We're not the biggest team all over the field, and it's something we'll have to cope with in the Big 12 when we play some of these teams as well.
The Cowgirls now turn their focus to the Big 12 conference opener against Iowa State on Friday. For the Poke Report, I'm Jacob Watkins.
Thank you, Jacob. The Cowgirls are now 4-6 after last week's performance. Now, we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have another key of the Cowgirl soccer team. Welcome back to the Poke Report. I'm Jordan Bridges. Goalkeeper is a key to any soccer team's success, but it's not always the most glamorous job. Our reporter Brandon Crosno went out and saw what made Rosa Medina, the Cowgirl goalkeeper,
Senior
really
Rosa Medina has played soccer all her life, and it shows each time she steps on the field. But soccer isn't a solo sport. Each team member has a role, and Rosa knows hers.
Yeah, I mean, her experience is big for us. She's been here since her 4th year, and she's played a lot of big games throughout the course of, she played 8 or 9 games as a freshman when she came in. So, having her back there, she's kind of been through the Big 12 wars, and she knows what it takes, and she can help the younger players adapt. So having her back there, not only as a good goalkeeper, but just as a little bit of a vocal leader on the field makes a big difference to our back line. Anytime you've been here and you've kind of seen the ups and downs, and you know what it takes, going on the road and traveling and having to eat right and do all those things, I think she can help in those ways. So she's definitely helped some of the younger players adapt to college soccer.
Rosa feels at home at Oklahoma State University. The support of the soccer staff, coaches, and her teammates motivates Rosa to give it her all each game.
It's a lot of fun. Like my teammates are, the 20 sisters I never had, and I just love it, and it means so much to me being able to play here for 4 years. I take a lot of pride in playing here and playing for my teammates.
Rosa's family supports her love of soccer, taking her to and from games and tournaments, and even supporting her when she played for the Mexican national team in the Under-17 World Cup back in 2010.
Even though this is Rosa's last year on the soccer team, she has big plans to keep on helping people, because that's one of the many life lessons she learned while she played on the OSU soccer team.
Hopefully I'll either go to nursing school. I really want to be a pediatric nurse. If that doesn't work out, hopefully I'll go to grad school and to be a clinician, because I'm majoring in psychology.
Rosa has played soccer most of her life, learning big lessons on how to be accountable to others, like her coaches and friends. And even though she'll be moving on, the lessons learned in the net last a lifetime. For the Poke Report, I'm Brandon Crosno.
Thanks, Brandon. And even though Rosa won't be wearing a Cowgirl jersey next season, she'll still be watching in their continued growth. That'll be it for this week's episode of the Poke Report. Until next week, I'm Jordan Bridges.